Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video, I'm going to be doing a little bit of an experiment using the stencils I got from Stencil Revolution and seeing how well the DecoArt Americana Decor texture holds through for dimension. And this is a prototype for a piece of metal work that I'm doing, and it's so easy, excuse me, doing it with paint first, because metal, silver, and all that stuff is expensive. Onto the table. So I've got my cardstock here, 140-pound watercolor paper, and I've already prepped it with gesso, and I use the DecoArt Media white gesso. And so that's that, and then it dried. So this is a stencil I'm going to be trying, and the idea, oh yeah, I have to show you. So I've got some mixed metal here, which is copper, bare copper, and a black lava bead, which is a matte finish. So the idea for the metal piece is going to be on a much smaller scale, and the actual tiger will be hand painted. We're talking maybe that big. The idea is to take, I'm going to be using the DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics Carbon Black, painting the whole piece. Then I'm going to come in and kind of split splat. No, that's not right. Slip slap. Slip slap. The DecoArt Matte Metallics, and this is charcoal. Okay, so we've got carbon black matte finish, and then the matte metallic charcoal, which is their new line. Slip slap that on, let that dry. Then I'm going to come in with the American Decor texture, and this is rose gold, of course. Do I have copper? I don't think I have copper, but that would have been a better choice. It's not really close. I'm specifically doing the piece with copper, so yeah, it's not even. But I wonder if I could take the copper metallic paint and add it to this. What would happen? You'd lose some of the dimension of this, I think. And then I'm going to stencil the texture right through the stencil and see how well the stencil holds up. Because I know the product, the DecoArt stuff works great because I've done it with their stencils, but it'd be interesting seeing this. The end result, though, when it comes time to when I'm doing the piece, that the tiger, I'll be painting it by hand. Or if you guys wanted to do something like this, you can use any stencil. But you could take it, scan it, then make it really, really small and cut that. That way you can use a stencil piece and shrink it down to, let's say, 2x2. I don't think they have 2x2 stencils. I don't think so. But you get my idea, right? So you can just shrink your finished piece down. If you want to make it into a pendant, then you can either mount it on a piece of masonite and then just put a flat bezel around it, or a piece of masonite and just drill a little hole, wrap wire, whatever you want to do, put it on a canvas, put on a little easel. It's endless. All right, so I'm just going to take a flat brush that's been dampened with a little bit of water. And no, I did not make chromatic black with this. I wanted it to be a flat black. So if you don't have black, because you're a true color mixer, and you follow my different types of methods for making chromatic black, you could take, again, as you know, you could take burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, so you could take equal parts, but depending on your brand, you may have to adjust a little bit, and then take a little piece on the side, add white to see the true underlying color. Viridian and alizarin crimson is an amazing mix as well. That'll be really intense, and that one, depending on the brand, you may have to adjust, because alizarin crimson is stronger than Viridian, but if you use phthalo green with the blue shade with alizarin crimson, the phthalo green is much stronger. Okay, make sure I've got all that covered. But yeah, that's done. Get a little bit more water. Everything is drying here, so I've got the furnace jacked up and the humidifiers on, but still the stuff is still drying pretty fast. Okay, I'm going to, this will take nothing to dry. I'm going to let that dry, clean my brush, and then when we come back, then I'll slip slap some of the matte metallic, dry that, then we'll come through and stencil the texture paint. All right, hopefully this isn't too dark for you. The camera goes crazy when it's, might need a bit more than that, when it's, I'm doing anything on black. So I cleaned my brush, and I didn't go over crazy cleaning it, but just got rid of most of the paint. And I'm just going to, and I don't want any ridges of paint because that will affect how the stencil lays on the piece. Instead of kind of going around, you know, you don't really need to do anything under here, but instead of going around and trying to, you know, fuss, I'm just going to put it everywhere. And right in the middle area, because I know the nose is going to be here, I'm just going to feather that out. But making sure I don't have any ridges of paint. And where there's a hard edge, fan that out. And then when you've done this, you can come back, and then I didn't even need all that paint. And you can come back and you can apply another layer. Okay, so I'm going to put the medium back, I'm going to be taking the flat metallic, putting it back, matte metallic, putting it back in bottle. Holy crap. On one hand, you really shouldn't do that if you've had paint in there before because it's kind of contaminated. I'm not going to worry about it because I know that I'll be fine. But if you're not sure, then put it into another little container. But because it's black flat, my mouth is rented because it's a flat black paint and it's all within the decor art line. I know it's going to be fine. No time to dry. Look at that. I'm just going to hit it with the heat gun just for a second. So anytime you use the heat gun, you want to make sure that your piece is back to room temperature before you put any more paint. Did I just get paint on my face? Oh my God. Well, if I do, you can laugh at me. But you have to make sure this is back at room temperature because you don't want to put paint on a hot surface because it'll cure. And I know that's going to make a mess. So let's see what we can do. Make sure the palette knife is spotless. Anytime I use this stuff, I get all over my clothes. I'm messy. So my stencil is curved a little bit. Now you can tack this down or tape it. I'm going to tape it. I've got some ultra low tack spray, but you need to use that in a well ventilated area. That's a bit too much tape. Any of you guys ever use frog tape? I have to turn that computer off. I've been curious about that, how it works. Not for regular painting, but like for artsy stuff, artsy fartsy stuff. So down here would have been a nice place to put a little piece of tape. You could probably even use, you know, your ATG, that dispenser thingy with double-sided tape, that the actual tape part, or maybe even just some double-sided tape that you can roll up, just so you can hold that flat. All right, let's see what happens. Obviously, if you're seeing the video, if you've seen this video, it worked out fine, right? But even if it doesn't, I am not going to not post. I'm going to post the results regardless. So I'm going to start from one end and work downwards. I used to do it this way, then I would get my sleeve caught And then as I was teaching drawing how to, you know, avoid getting your sleep, turn your piece. It's so simple. Sometimes I overcomplicate things. Joe tells me all the time, my palette knife is bent. It's bent. Okay, let's try that now. And it's because I was getting all these lines. There we go. Now this texture paint, dimensional metallic paint. You've got some good working time on this. So don't rush. It's not a contest. And if you're like me, who is kind of trying to keep the video short, and you rush through it, then you get paint on the side, you could also put masking tape along the edges. Sometimes when I'm doing stuff like this, I it's not that I'm not paying attention, but I know I need to slow down, and I don't. It's like my brain is just saying, don't worry about it. That's what retirement's doing to me. Don't worry about it. Everything's don't worry about it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Life's too short to worry about crap like that. I was going to say the S word, but I know there's some young people watching. Yeah, that's another thing when I edit the videos is if I swear. I swear by accident. It's just language. You have to use appropriately. Okay, I think I've got that. I want it to be really thick. And I want that looks really cool. Just wait. And I want like the Gisele way of frosting a cake to show up. I mean, I can still keep working with this. This is still wet. And then when you lift it up, you're actually going to have quite the dimension. So with the DecoArt stencils, I know because they're really thick. And I know it'll work with that, so it'll be interesting. The challenge is with this, now you have to lift it straight up. You can't go on an angle or slide it. You have to lift it straight up. So what I'm going to do, I'm only going to take the tape off, where it's going to be the easiest, and where I have to flip it. I should have done this flat, and I didn't. Okay. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do now is, because these are taped down, take the stencil and lift it straight up like this. Oh, flippin' heck, that's beautiful. Look at that. Looking at this now, I should have just stuck with the carbon black and not add the matte metallic. Even though it's a matte metallic, it is conflicting a little, not conflicting, but it's busying up the shine a little bit. But look how nice it would be if it was right here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get another piece of paper, work really, really fast. And then I'm going to stencil. I'll take the rest of this here and put it through. So I'm back in 2 shakes. Okay, let's see if I've got enough on here. I might have to add a little bit more. So the working time is really good. The stencil itself held up really well. And when I put the paint on, I put it on quite roughly. So you'll be able to see the overlaps where I put like 2 to 3 layers. Get that thick up there, especially the ears. Nice and thick. And you can flatten this out a lot more, but it's texture paste or texture paint. So I want the texture. I'm kind of going in the direction of the fur, which is hard to say. Okay, cross all your crossable body parts. Let's see what happens. Okay, let me clean this up right now. I'm purposely being rough on the stencil. Stencils that are detailed like this, you gotta be really delicate with them. This is holding up really well. They have some really cool wildlife pieces. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay, so think of this as metal. That's really cool. All right, so because I don't have my container of water, because Manamu is over here, I'm just going to spray this with water. And my baby wipes, I've only got like 3 left. So I'm just going to take kitchen wipes and I'm just going to place them on top of the stencil just to keep it wet. But typically you have a container on this side full of water if you can't clean them right away. I'm going to keep that. Put that over there. All right. There you go. So see the difference? I like this better. I'm going to sneeze. Oh. Yeah, I like the flat black better, because it has much nicer contrast. So picture that again, small. I really need to see if they have a smaller version. Well, as an alternative, like I already told you, you can do all this stuff, then you can shrink it down. If you've got a scan and cut, I think you can do with a Cricut too. Scan it, make it smaller, and cut it. There's copyright issues there, so I wouldn't recommend it. But in a pinch, I mean, even if you took a silhouette image of something you found legally on the internet, and you can have it a cut to a really like a tiny stencil like this. But I'll have to check to see if they have 2x2 stencils. I don't think they do, but it would be really cool if they did. But there you go. So there's the experiment. Love the look of this. So the stencil held up really well, and I love the contrast of the metallic paint with the carbon black. Not so much with the matte metallic, but the another experiment is carbon black and then stencil matte metallic. So you'll have like a two-tone. Oh, I like that idea. I'll have to try that. And I just thought of the perfect stencil to do it with. Okay, I have to go do another video. So let me know what you think. If you've tried experiments like this before, like with just, with contrasting colors now, post in the comments below what colors you use in brands if you have. That way people that are watching have those same colors and they can try the experiment as well. And what's the smallest stencil you have? If you have stencils, what's the smallest one you have? and even what's your favorite stencil, and try this experiment. And then you can't post pictures on YouTube, but you can go over to the community. The link is in the description below. Go to the community, unless you're already there watching this, and you can post all the pictures you want in there so we can all see what we've all been doing. All right, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. That way you won't miss out on anything. And I'm going to quickly clean up and get ready to do the other experiment while it's fresh in my mind. So until then, stay inspired.